Welcome to Special Guest Thursdays on the Final Boss podcast, where legends pull up, the mic gets hot, and the community gets loud. Each week, your host Turbo the CEO goes live with game changers, thought leaders, and culture shifters. From raw interviews to the hottest trending topics, and real talk on community impact. This is where voices rise and stories ignite. So buckle up, press play, and get ready to level up with Turbo. This isn't just a podcast, it's a movement.
Welcome to the Final Boss podcast. It is Special Guest Thursday, episode number 154, ladies and gentlemen, 154. And look, man, we have a great show for you tonight. We have a beautiful co-host and my guest of the evening. But look, we're going to get into that in just a second. I'm going to introduce you to her, tell you all about her, man, because she is phenomenal. And before we get into that, man, as always, we are here. I am here. And to each and every single last one of you, no matter where you're watching from, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. This is the Final Boss podcast, and I am the Final Boss. And this is you're part of the Final Boss Nation and the Final Boss journey. And I welcome each and every single one of you, guys, for our magnificent show. 154 on our way to episode number 200. Episode 200 is going to bring in season 4. Season 4 is going to be about rebirth and renewal and reset. 3 R's. And I want you guys to remember that. I'm going to remember it myself right now because I'm going to write it down because I didn't write that down before. It was either renew, reset, or what was the other one?
Rebirth.
Can you hear me?
Rebirth.
Yes, rebirth. See, that's what I'm talking about, man. She's helping already. Let's give it up for Mel. That is our special guest. Look, what if I told you that one woman, right? One woman wrote and launched 3 best-selling books in a span of 12 months. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, in a span of 12 months, she wrote 3 best-selling books during COVID, no doubt, while the rest of the world was making excuses and hiding in their cabinets. Hiding in their cabinets. Man, that's amazing. And then turned that systematic excellence into a proven framework that produced 17 number 1 bestsellers and 8 award-winning books for other authors. Listen, you don't do that by chance, man. That is systematic excellence right there. And tonight, we're pulling back the curtain on the trust the process methodology with award-winning author and speaker, MELISSA VAN OSS. Let's give a hand for her, bro. To my Final Bosses, to my motivators, to my smarts, to my warriors. Let's celebrate her right now. Throw her flowers. And look, you're about to learn how to turn your story into impact. And then from impact to income. This is episode number 154. And if you have a book in you, people, this is the episode you want to watch. Now we got that out the way, right? Got that out the way. From adversity to 17 number 1 bestsellers, The Trust the Process Blueprint. Ms. Van Oss, as I stated before, is a best-selling award-winning author, an award-winning speaker, and the founder of the Trust the Process book marketing program. Her background blends in journalism, storytelling, higher education engagement, and decades of brand marketing and campaign strategy. Through her proven framework, she has produced 17 number one best-selling book campaigns, 8 award-winning titles. Melissa is passionate about elevating voices, supporting student success, and helping authors create meaningful impact. She has worked extensively with North Carolina University, Central University, make that correction, contributing to student success initiatives, workshops, and leadership development. She's based out of the DC area, right? Melissa collaborates with universities, authors, speakers, organizations across the country and internationally, right? And tonight, we're going to be discussing all of these things and many more and much more. So let's get right into it. As always, make sure you go like, share, and subscribe. Like, share, and subscribe no matter where you see us. If it's on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitch, Kick, Instagram. And for your audio listening pleasures, make sure you go check us out on Spotify, right? Make sure you go check out our website. The website is www.thefinalbosspodcast.com. And that's all one word. And all of our episodes are on our website. And you can find out more about the Final Boss Podcast and the Final Boss community, Final Boss Nation on there with much more information to come, including the book I just dropped. Woohoo! Let's hear it. Let's hear it. What? Hashtag go time. Hashtag go time. All aboard the fired up train. The fired up train is out now. As of Thanksgiving, go make sure you go pick up Go Time, people. Go pick up Go Time. And now, you know what? Let's go into the brass tacks of the evening. Brass tacks of the evening, right? The brass tacks of the evening. And here it is. Success is not about waiting for the perfect moment. It's about creating the moment through systematic action. Melissa Van Oss didn't wait for COVID to end. She used the adversity to launch 3 number one best-selling books in 12 months. That's not luck, people. That's disciplined execution. That's what happens when you combine vision clarity with relentless consistency. And if you have a message, a story, or a mission, the world doesn't need you to be perfect, people. The world needs you to be present, purposeful, persistent. Stop making excuses and start executing. And by the way, those are part of the 6 pillars of success if you didn't know. And it's in Go Time. The principles and theories that I developed are all in that book. And look, man, listen, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Smarts, Final Bosses, Motivators, Warriors. You know, it's Thursday, which means it's Special Guest Thursday. And I'm telling you right now, if you got a book in you, you need to link up with this beautiful young lady, and she would assist you with that process. And look, you don't want to miss this episode. You really don't. You just don't, right? You don't want to miss this episode. So let's go ahead and get into a little bit about a little bit more in depth about Melissa, right? Because we're going to be diving deep into the world of literary excellence, systematic author success, and the power of storytelling with someone who embodies everything we teach on this show, especially about the 6 pillars of success and the 6 building blocks of reward. I'm going to paint this picture for you, right? Don't you go nowhere. Stay with me. Stay with me. Don't you go nowhere, right? Imagine this. The whole world shuts down and COVID hit, right? People are paralyzed. People are in fear. People are making excuses. No one's going outside, right? But our guest tonight, she saw an opportunity. She saw an opportunity, and this is how billionaires are formed. They see opportunities, and she saw opportunities where everyone else saw obstacles. She wrote 3 best-selling books and then turned around and developed a proven framework that has produced 17 best-selling titles and 8 award-winning books. She's an award-winning speaker, and she's consistently delivering results. Smarts, this is what we've been preaching. Motivation, sacrifice, consistency, perseverance, persistence, and resilience, all wrapped up in one incredible success story. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, let me welcome Melissa Van Oss to the one and only Final Boss Podcast. Melissa, welcome to the show. Sorry to be lengthy, but it was necessary. I had to paint that beautiful picture because it was necessary. How are you feeling?
I am psyched to be here. Thanks for having me. I really appreciate being on the show with you. And of course, you're a great hype man. So, we'll take the hype anytime, any place.
Let's go.
So, yeah, let's get on the go train and let's get going, baby.
Let's get going. That's what I'm talking about, man. You see that energy, people? That's the energy right there, man. That's the energy each and every single last one of you need to have in this progression, man. You want to be on the fired up train? That's the energy you need to have. Look, I love it. I love the energy. And Smarts, this is going to be good, man. We got 60 minutes of pure gold, dropping gems coming your way. If you're just joining us, drop a comment. Let us know where you're coming from, right? Let us know where you are and where you're watching from. Share look, like, share, subscribe, always. And per always, this is for entertainment purposes only. I have to give the disclaimer, per always, right? So, Melissa, are you ready for the Final Boss community on this journey?
I'm ready. Let's get it going.
Let's go. All right. Let's start from the beginning because the Smarts community needs to understand your journey, right? So, Melissa, before we dive into the 17 number one bestsellers and all of your incredible achievements, I want to take the Smarts community back to the beginning. You mentioned that you've been a writer throughout your life, but your journey to becoming number one best-selling author really accelerated during COVID. Walk us through that pivotal moment that sparked the decision to write and launch 3 books within 12 months. Who does that?
Well, I'm one of those people that if I'm going to do something, apparently I just throw myself into the deep end. I said, if I can write one book,
yeah.
I'll just write 2 more because that's no problem. Who
right.
does that? What are you thinking? I left before I had it all figured out, quite honestly. But once I set my mind to a goal or a decision, then it's all system goes. I am a Virgo, so my nature is, once I set something in my mind, then I'm going to achieve it. And so, I think during COVID, there was a couple pods of people where how thinking was going. First pod was let me stream and drink and chill and just take naps and, be negative about it and not productive.
Right.
Me, I was like, I love this idea of being locked in. I love the idea of just being able to sit with myself and look at the things I wanted to do, some bucket list things, really expand my mind, exercise my body, meditate, create success rituals. And so, I was one of those people during COVID where I was doing webinars and learning and trainings and, doing a lot of networking. Of course, Zoom opened up us to the world. So I was meeting a lot of international friends in the process, networking, collaborating. And, during that process, I, was taking a webinar about doing writing a book and doing a book campaign. And of course, you mentioned I have many years and my degree is in marketing. So I'd always done writing and branding for other people and helped their businesses as entrepreneurs to put messaging out and things like that. So, when I got into this webinar and it said, hey, you can write a bestseller doing these steps, and I said, okay, I know how to follow steps. I know how to follow instructions. So let me, see what this is about. And sure enough, within less than 30 days of doing the training, having a coach, I'm in a live Zoom with a bunch of other people in the cohort. And the coach is saying to me, Melissa, you're going to launch your book next month, right? And he was a good salesman because he was shaking his head. Yes. You know how you do that, right?
Yes.
To
Yes.
get the agreement. So what did I do?
The agreement, right.
I said yes. So
Okay.
I didn't have a book written yet. I had concepts that I had been developing for many years, doing workshops and just writing my own material and teaching certain things about mindset and things. And, you know, again, right into the deep end. You want me to launch my book, coach? Okay, I'll figure this out, you know? And I went to strategy mode, and I hadn't necessarily been very active on my social media accounts for many years on my own. I was doing other people's on the back end. So my strategy was honestly like old school boiler room. I jumped on that telephone and I was dialing not for the dollars, but I was dialing for connections. And honestly, it was a perfect time because you know how it is. Sometimes in life we lose touch with other people. You know, we lose touch with people that we used to be close with like 3 years ago. But COVID actually allowed me the ability to jump on the phone and check in with that person first, because it was serious time. Right? We didn't know, you know, what may be happening or if someone was even still alive during that crazy time. So when I just reached out to inquire authentically, you know, hey, it's been a while. How are you? Are you okay? How are you coping with this? What's going on? You know, that just natural, authentic connection and conversation led them to, of course, ask, what am I up to? Oh, well, matter of fact, I'm launching a book next month. What? You know, like, so it was literally like, no way, that's so awesome. How can I support that? I will definitely support you. And then from there, you know, I verbalized, this is what I'll be doing. This is when it's happening. Here's how you can support. And so from the first book campaign, that led into nearly about every quarter for like a year's period, I was either on the end of a campaign or launching up for the next campaign. And so, yeah, within 12 months, I, you know, had been able to write, launch, and execute the 3 campaigns that hit bestseller. So it was a whirlwind, you know, situation. And for me, the lock-in of COVID allowed me to have the time just to not be able to focus on anybody else's stuff, and I could focus on mine. And it allowed me just to lock myself in my room, stand there and write. I'm a freehand writer. So I wrote all my manuscripts out by hand. Then I had to type them in and edit as I. And then I had my team to work on, you know, all the book polishing, you know, things that we need. So it's a professional final product. So it really was a wonderful, for me, COVID was a wonderful experience during lockdown. You know, like it sounds weird. But I had a blast. So
I get it, man. Thank you so much for that. So basically what I'm hearing is you had a plan within a plan within a plan. And look, that right there, that takes us right into what I like to call the first pillar of success, which is motivation. And this is crucial for the final bosses who are listening right now. Success starts with a reason that's bigger than your excuses, right? So let me ask you, what was the deeper why that kept you pushing when things got difficult during the intense 12-month period? Because I know it wasn't just smooth sailing. I know that.
No, of course not. You know, I'm a Virgo. So on the first book, I was literally like, if this book doesn't hit #1 bestseller, I literally going to throw myself out the window. You know, like I'll be dying of embarrassment. So that cannot happen. You know, I need to have my checklist. I triple check it, recheck it, double check it, rewrite it, all that kind of stuff, you know? So I think for me, it was like kind of 2-pronged. Once for me, I feel motivation is very important, but even more important than motivation is you need to have that discipline that locks in, because motivation can fade over time, right? You know, in the beginning of something, we're all hyped up. It's exciting. We love it. We're like, oh yeah, I'm on the hype train, you know, let's go. But what happens when you are locking yourself in a room and your hand is cramping and you're trying to think of ideas and, you know, whatever. That's where the discipline for me is like kind of a big motivating why of a lot of things that I do. Is once I'm locked in, I let the discipline let me go and get over the mountain, you know, because I know motivation is not going to last. So for me, part of the why is, you know, for many years I had this, you know, moleskin notebook, and throughout my, you know, adulthood, I'd be writing different things in that I wanted to accomplish throughout my life.
Okay.
You know, like having a podcast, writing a book, you know, being a facilitator and different things. And sure enough, when I would go back and review, you know, as time had passed and we reflect, somehow the universe was allowing me to check things off, sometimes without me even remembering I had written it down. So when I looked at COVID, I was like, well, a book is still on there. If not now, when? There will never be another time where the world was shut down and I could just have my own thoughts and not be, you know, beholden to other people's times and schedules and, you know, doing other work for other people. So my why became, this is the time. Now, I will never have another time that will line up the way this is lining up with the universe of, you know, things that are happening and being able to just have time to focus on what I wanted to write. So I really just was using that, the why of, you know what, this has always been something that's been important. If anyone that knows me knows I'm that person. You don't need to buy me a designer purse or a bag, you know, a shoe or an outfit, even though I love fashion and love to look cute. But if you buy me school supplies and books, like, we're going to be best friends for life, you know? So books are my love language, you know? And so if I love books this much, even as a kid, I loved books. And when we had Young Authors Conference, you know, in elementary school, I loved that process of writing our own books in class and putting them together. And I even won the Young Authors Conference in 4th grade. So that was way back, you know, in my subconscious there, you know, and I said, if I love books so much, I need to experience this experience, you know, and get on the other side of that equation. And I do think that I have a message that's a little bit unique and different with the slant of my books, where I talk about the idea of seduction as a second language, but not talking sex, but mindset, confidence. You know, looking at the world through seducer's eyes, which is looking at opportunities around you, and then awaken your aura of seduction, which is having that it factor, that confidence, that spark, that you're a memorable person that people meet and they want to engage with. So I just felt that I had a unique take to the subject matter that I was going to write about. And that kind of, you know, because I was so confident in my own thoughts around it and being authentic, that just kept driving me forward and forward and forward, even when I was having a hand cramp, you know, or I was hot, or I was tired, you know, writing and writing and writing, and you know, so that allowed me to keep moving forward. And being that I again had taught many of these philosophies that I had kind of created with this hierarchy of seduction, I call it, sort of like how Maslow has the needs, I kind of created my own hierarchy, and I just used that as my guidepost, and broke them down into small, digestible, you know, content within the book. So having already just lived and, you know, experienced this material for so long, when I decided it was time, it just kind of flowed out of me very organically and authentically, just like I would be talking to you and telling you this information, you know, just very conversational and easy to digest and then implement into your own daily life, whether it's in the boardroom or, you know, networking, or just trying to negotiate relationships in your own life, in your own world, so that they're, you know, in a more positive dynamic, and you get the, you know, the results and the win-win. I'm all about the win-win for both people. So it just allowed me to, just dial into that and just do it with no excuses. Just finish it. You know.
All right. Look, man, thank you so much. That right there. Wow. That was powerful. And Smarts, did you hear that? Did you hear what she said? She said something very profound in the beginning, right? She was talking about motivation and discipline. Now, in Go Time, I speak of motivation not as energy, but as discipline, just as she just spoke of, because energy dies, right? There's plenty of times where you don't have the energy to do something, but through discipline, you get it done. And that's the difference between people who dream and people who do. Let's keep the momentum going. And look, Mel, I usually call you Mel. Can I call you Mel?
That's fine. Yep. My friends
Okay,
call
cool,
me Mel.
cool, cool.
So everyone can call me
Yeah,
Mel.
I'm a friend, so I'm calling you
We're
Mel.
longtime
Right?
friends.
Longtime friend, right? Let's go even further. Let's go even further back because there's a story in your bio that caught my attention. And I love this story, right? It was about how you were never afraid of public speaking as a child and actually looking forward to delivering demonstration presentations, right? And like the county fair that 1 year, right? And that's normal. Most kids are terrified of speaking in the public, but not you, right? So talk to the final bosses, to the smarts, to my motivators, to my warriors about how that early childhood confidence shapes your journey. How did that little girl at the country fair evolve into an award-winning speaker who now commands stages nationally?
Yeah, so yeah, I don't know where this. I think part of this desire that I have no fear of being on a stage is almost like because even though I'm not like an actor or an actress type person, I'm
Mhm.
not afraid to
Yet.
perform. Yeah. I'm not afraid to
Mhm.
perform. I feel like
Right.
the people in my family, we're all kind of cards. We all kind of like perform a little bit. Like we would have family gatherings in our annual Christmas party, and as we were growing up, like all of us kids, we would play instruments in the band, and so we would
Right.
have to get our presents from Santa that would visit our family Christmas party, we would have to
Mhm.
perform like a song together as the grandkids, kind of a thing.
Impressive.
So,
Mhm,
yeah,
mhm, mhm.
even doing those experiences, just builds confidence in your abilities. So, every year I would go out to my grandparents' farm. I am from the country, and we would
Okay.
do all the 4-H projects, including it was a 20-minute demonstration presentation based on whatever topic that you wanted to do. So I did one every
Right.
single year from how to make a quilt to bicycle repair to, I mean, you name it. We did a lot of things. So, just having like my grandparents and my uncle there with me every summer when we would be coming up with the topic, and then they'd be working with me and I'd be practicing it in front of them, they were just very supportive without being the kind of person or the kind of role models that be like, you have to do this. We want you
Right.
to do this and you need to succeed, kind of thing, versus like,
Mhm.
okay, we know that this is happening over the summer. This is what we work on. And this passes our time, so we didn't do crazy stuff down on the farm. We'll get into that on another
Right.
podcast. But anyway, like being able to get up on the stage after practicing all summer, yeah,
Mhm.
just really built the confidence in myself and the fact that I just, I guess, was almost, without using the word brainwash in a bad way, but I almost sort of brainwashed myself naively as a kid to be like, well, people like listening to what I have to say because I do it every summer. And
Right.
for me, confidence has never really been too much of a problem in the sense I've always been confident in myself, my abilities, and developed this mindset early on in life that you either like me or you don't. And I'm okay if you don't get me. Not everyone gets there.
Mhm,
Not
mhm.
everyone gets the
Yeah.
fact that I'm sparkly and I'm bright and I am
Right.
sometimes over the top or in your face or whatever. And that's okay.
Mhm.
Not every key is for every single palette. That's
True,
okay.
true, true.
You know,
Right.
so I think I just developed sort of like a little bit of a thick skin in the sense like I don't really worry what other people's thoughts are about me in their own head. That's none of my
Mhm,
business what you think
mhm.
of, you know?
Right.
And
Right.
so as I port myself through life and having
Mhm.
different various jobs and roles, whether it was being an outside sales for a Fortune 500 company or nonprofit. I always found myself in roles where I had to be speaking either one-on-one, small groups, or now with the like North Carolina Central University and the higher education institutions and things, now on like more of a grand scale, where there's many people in the room. And to me, it's always about, what can I share with other people that can help them make progress faster, more efficiently, with less obstacles in the way, and as a kid, it was like how to make a quilt. Who cares?
Right.
No one probably wants to really learn to make quilts, but if you
True.
did, if you did want to learn that skill, I hopefully showed you a way to do it a little more efficiently, with what I told you. And now with students or working with my authors, it's about being able to speak the language that the person on the other side wants to hear, versus like, this is how great I am, this is why I have all the answers, and don't listen to anyone else. Like, I'm not that type of a speaker, like, I know I don't have all the answers, but I'm open to learning. I'm open to continually growing my skill set, and I'm open to having dialogues and a meaningful engagement with others. And I think that's what allowed me to keep getting booked, at NCCU and other higher education institutions, and even, do my own workshop facilitation, is because it's more of like, trying to pay it forward. And how can we help someone else be confident, have the right mindset, or some kind of a tool that you can put to use right away that can make your life better. And for me, that's always sort of like bottom line. How can we make your life better? Not about me. I'm a conduit. My voice is a conduit. So that's how I just kind of always have looked at it. And yeah, going from 4-H to higher education space, and all the things I've done in between, every single one had this component of having to speak, having to present, having to be a good communicator, either orally or in the written form. Most of the time it's both, at the end of the day.
And that's like what I like to say: let me help you help me help you. And that right there, that's incredible. You know what I'm hearing? What I'm hearing is foundation. And we talk about this all the time, how your childhood experiences prepare you, and those early wins prepare you through your confidence and for later on in life, right? And to my smarts, to my motivators, to my warriors, to my final bosses, make sure you guys are taking notes, right? You're getting a master class. Make sure you're taking notes, whether you're writing or speaking. It's about connecting. It's connecting with your audience, delivering value, and being authentic. That's skill supremacy right there. Now, let's pivot real quick. Let's get into the meat of this particular story, because this is where things get really interesting. Let's talk about adversity into achievement. One of the core principles we preach on this show. COVID shut down the world. People were paralyzed by fear, uncertainty, and excuses. But you saw the opportunity. You went from 0 to 3 and to number 1 in 12 months. Now, break down this mindset, right? Because that was some crazy times. How did you maintain that level of consistency and productivity when everything around you was chaotic?
Yeah, that's a great question. Well, I will say this. In the beginning, when we heard of this COVID thing, and then we found ourselves locked in the beginning, I literally found myself, I was like starting to do the doom scrolling and just looking at the news, and like, just like, whoa, like,
Yeah,
who would ever think
everybody
this
was
in our modern time?
right.
Like, my mind was blown. Honestly, I just even couldn't imagine it. And as I realized that I started to begin to go down this rabbit hole of, wow, I'm just focusing on this, focusing on this, focusing on this. I literally said, nope, Mel, we're not doing this. See, like, this is not the way to be right now. You need to get up. You need to start working out, because if you're healthy and working out, COVID can't catch you. You know what I mean? So I was like, you're not going to catch me. You know, I'm going to start working out. I started meditating. I started to develop what I call like rituals for myself. You know, even though we go out into the world and do our normal daily, you know, scheduled activities, I just had to create a structure for myself. And the way I had to like give my brain a short circuit away from that negativity. Stop being on Facebook, stop scrolling, took the widget off my phone for the news, for crying out loud. To this day, I don't even have it on my phone because the news is negative. So I'm not about that. So, you know, how can I now short circuit my brain into becoming productive and focus on other things? So I switched it to every single day. Now I get up and I work out. Well, first I meditate, and I found a great book that was talking about meditation for fidgety skeptics by Dan Harris. He was he's an ABC anchor, and he had a panic attack on the air doing the news live. And that led that led him into figuring out meditation so he could, you know, be able to overcome. And he says, you know, 10% is better than no percent. You know,
absolutely.
And even if you meditate for 1 minute to start, that's something. You're building off of that. So I really, you know, aligned with his messaging of, okay, I think I can figure out how to meditate too. I had that on the bucket list for many years too. You know, how do I make this part of my daily life? And so get up, meditate. Then we're writing in the journal, you know, getting these thoughts out of the head and into a journal. And then using that also as the time to plan and write out more goals and more dreams and things that I want to do. Then we're going to work out, you know, we're going to drink water, you know, like, so it's a lot of simple, it's a lot of simple, normal, you know, things. But it was like, how can I start to turn the corner and create a healthy allotment of rituals? And like I said earlier, I'm a Virgo, so we like to do checklists, keep our check going and don't break the chain, right? So once I got on this train of, I'm going to keep a checklist and I'm going to keep it going so I don't break the chain, then it started to become what? A habit, a good habit. The habit of not scrolling, and now I'm going to get up and exercise. The habit of writing things down. The habit of now looking at my old notebook that had all these bucket list things on there, and what can I actually keep from doing that? So it really, you know, started from me saying, just checking myself, you know, like I think we all have to have those moments where we do self-check and be like, this is not how you want to be, right? You know, have these hard conversations between our ears, right? You're not liking what you're saying to yourself in your brain, and this repetitive messaging is not who you think you should be. You have to have the forethought to say, no, you got to call yourself out first. You don't even want other people to call you out, you know? So I called myself on the carpet. You know, I had my principal moment with myself, like, you need to stop doing that, you know, and you need to pivot yourself. So the pivoting just really then, once I got off of that negativity and stop looking at the news and start focusing on myself, that led to the discovery of, oh, I want to learn. I want to absorb. I want to up my skill set. So when this is over, I have accomplished something instead of just ordering wine, you know, and binge watching Netflix like all the other people were doing. And so that just really said, okay, you know, why can't you take and make your own course? Why can't you make a book? Why can't, you know, like, there was no excuse for me after that. Once I started to just have these rituals and just focus on me first, so that I felt very positive and inspired. And I think when your energy shifts and you get that outside of your own negative headspace, the creativity floodgates open, right? The opportunities and the doors open, because now you're not You're not just like locked in behind, you know, a thing being like,
Yeah.
no. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm here. I want to play the game.
I'm
So
here.
I'm going to go
Absolutely.
all in.
Yep. Hold on. Right. I'm loving this. Smarts. Did y'all hear that, man? Did y'all hear that? Let me tell you. She just broke down how what we talk about all the time. Defeating your enemy. Your number one enemy is your enemy, right? And that is what we talk about that all the time. But also, you mentioned the process, right? And through that process, we always speak about consistency. Consistency, and micro transactions or micro progressions. Micro progressions, micro transactions lead to bigger wins. Small battles wins wars. Make sure listen, small battles wins wars. And these are all part of the 6 pillars of success, people, right? And look, there it is. Success in a system. It's not about motivation on Monday. It's about discipline every single day, no matter how big or how small. Those micro progressions or micro transactions equal the larger gain, right? And Mel just gave us the blueprint. Look, final bosses, you can't argue with a 3-time #1 bestseller in a span of 12 months. You can't argue with that. The results are proven. You have to go off the results. Now, let's talk about something. Oh, you know what? That deserves a bravo. So now let's talk about something most people don't want to discuss, right? Most people want success, but they don't want the cost of success, right? And one of the 6 pillars of success is sacrifice. Writing one book is hard enough. Trust me, I just did it. But 3 and 12 months, that requires giving something up. What did you sacrifice to make that happen? What did you have to say no to so you could say yes to your destiny?
Yeah, so you have to say no to all the exterior stuff and all that. First, you
The
have to say
noise.
no to the noise inside your own
Yeah.
head, number one, right?
Mhm.
Because we are the biggest skeptics of our own self. And they don't tell, this isn't like a common buzzword that you hear, imposter syndrome, for no reason. You know, what do
Right.
I have to say? Why would anyone care? What, you know, why am I going to do it? Right. So you have to say
Mhm.
no to even allowing that word imposter syndrome to come into your mindset. I've never felt that, even though, you know, maybe I don't have as much education or X number of
Mhm.
experience people. Like, I know my experiences are unique to me. No one else has had them. So I am the expert to speak
Mhm.
on what happened and how I can translate into information to help other people, you know? So I think part of the
Okay.
sacrifice is we sacrifice our own negativity towards what we are producing and trying to put out to the world. You know, we have to sacrifice
Absolutely.
the
Mhm.
thought process of, well, people like me and what would they think of it. I already told you,
Right.
I don't care if you like me or
Mhm.
not. Like, I would love if you
Yeah.
like me, but I'm not going to lose sleep
Mhm.
over. You're not going to lose sleep over if
Exactly.
someone doesn't get it. You know, that's
Nope.
fine. You
Right.
know,
Yeah.
I think another component of like a sacrifice is, you know, again, you're not for every person for every situation. When
Mhm.
people are building things or even writing a book, and I ask, who's this book for? It's for everyone. No, it's not. And if you try to have the everyone approach, you're not going to win at the end of the day, you know, because it's too
Wow.
broad. You need
Too
to
broad.
have
Yeah.
more specifics, you know, in mind.
Mhm.
And I think part of the sacrifice is also just, again, people always want to say they want to write a book, and I'll meet with people. How long have you been working on your book? Oh, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Why? Like,
Yeah.
I don't get that, because that means you
Mhm.
just didn't have the discipline and the ability to sacrifice spending time with other people, sacrifice not scrolling social media,
Right.
sacrifice time doing other activities for the sake of deciding to make this a goal and putting in the work, which is the words on the paper.
Yep.
The editing, the formatting, the making
Mm-hmm.
it perfect. It'll never be perfect, of course, we're all imperfect, but making it the best final version is what you do on the back end. But you have to get the
Right.
draft out of your head. So you have to
Mm-hmm.
also sacrifice this thought that most people have. I can't start something till I know how to do every single thing after. I can't start something until I know that it's perfect. Well, you're never going to start or finish anything. Perfection is an
Yep.
illusion. It's
It
unattainable.
is an illusion. Yep.
You're selling yourself an excuse so that you
Mm-hmm.
don't sacrifice your whatever you think, your reputation, or if people like me, or you're trying to be a yes man or everybody's BFF, or maybe you don't want to rock the boat of your friends or families or colleagues by succeeding while they're staying in the same pond. So I think
Woo!
a component
Woo!
of
Wait, not to cut you. That I please repeat that again, because that right there is a gem and a bar if I never heard one. And I need you to drop that again so the people on the outside.
Yeah, you have to sacrifice this idea that you are going to be stagnant and stay in the same pond as everyone else because that's where they're comfortable. Most
Mm-hmm.
people don't get things done because they're afraid to be uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable
Right.
being uncomfortable. So, part of the sacrifice mindset is you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable. Until you write a book, you will never have written one, and the next one will be better, and the next one will be better, and so on and so on. That's just how mastery happens, right? So you
Right.
have to sacrifice this idea for yourself that, you know what, I'm okay if I'm doing things that other people wish that they could do, but they don't have the
Mm-hmm.
discipline to sit down and get it done.
Yeah.
Most people just
Uh,
won't do it.
they won't do it. Wait, have you read Go Time yet?
It's in process.
Because it sounds like you read Go Time.
Oh, we
Thank you
were
for
saying the
that.
other day, we're on the same
Yeah.
wavelength.
I know we're on the same wave, absolutely. And you said a few profound you had a few profound statements in that, man. And I 100% believe that perfectionism is a sickness, and it's a sickness for excuse. You went very deep into that. And you spoke of something else, right? You spoke of something else. How people who will write something on a span of time without the discipline, right? And that speaks to me what a hobbyist would do versus somebody who's professional or somebody who's disciplined in their craft and trying to complete it. The other people are doing it for a hobby. And I used to tell my artists when I was doing music, when I had the record label and I was producing, I say, look, if you come here and this is a hobby, get out, leave now, because this is a business. And if you don't have the discipline, you say it again.
I say myself and my partner Frank, we tell this to authors all the time. Writing and launching and publishing, doing a marketing
Mhm.
campaign for a book. If you want to do
Right.
it as a hobby or just a legacy for other people to say you wrote a book or to say you wrote a book, we're not for
Yeah,
you because this costs money,
exactly.
a
It
lot of
does.
money. Usually, it's not.
It does.
Every component costs. It is
Yeah,
very emotionally draining, and it's very
true.
time consuming. So if you don't have
Mhm.
a reason to write it for any other purpose besides just writing it, then just go ahead and write it and do it on your own. That's fine too. No shade on anyone's game. But if you're
Yeah.
serious about turning your message into impact, creating
Mhm.
residual income around using a book as an evergreen marketing tool, that's what it can be for you, is a marketing
Yeah.
tool that never dies,
Absolutely.
you
Yep.
know
Yep.
then
Mhm.
that's where I get excited because like you get it. You might not be a business person having written about maybe your specialty, but that's why you hire the expert so we can bridge that gap, and
Absolutely. Absolutely.
allow you to turn it from pie in the sky to a reality potential.
Right. And to my warriors who are out there listening right now, excellence has a price and most people aren't willing to pay for it. or pay it forward. And look, yes, it's not about balance. It's about priority. You can't do everything, but you can do the most important thing. And my smarts, if you're serious about your dreams, something's got to give. That's just the reality of it. You will sacrifice, right? Now, let's get into the system. Let's get into the system. And this is what my smarts community has been waiting for, right? Now, let's talk about the Trust the Process book marketing program. Let's talk about that, right? Your signature framework that's produced 17 #1 best-selling books and 8 award winners. This is proven methodology. This is systematic excellence. Break down for the warriors who are listening what Trust the Process actually is. What are the core components of this framework for consistently producing best-selling results? And by the way, you'll be adding me onto that best-selling list, and I'm looking forward to it. But tell me all about it. Tell us all about that.
You're be a multi bestseller as well. Just like
multi book
bestseller. Yeah. So Trust the Process book marketing program came about because I did all of my launches live and on social media, right? And so as naturally happens on these platforms, people were saying, how did you do that? I want to do that. Teach me how. Oh, great. A business is born, kind of. I didn't necessarily have this planned as part of my agenda, but look where we are now, So just for doing it live, people said, how did you do it? And one of the reasons myself and my partner, Frank Zakari, we named our program Trust the Process is because we found ourselves over and over and over again, reassuring our clients, our authors, saying, don't worry. We've done the heavy lifting for you. We've guinea pigged all the strategies and all the tactics on ourselves first, right? We don't tell you anything in the program that we haven't done ourselves, and it hasn't been an outcome, right? So that's part of like how the brainchild of the name came about with Trust the Process, because again, a lot of people, they might be willing to say they're going to put in the consistent work and do the activities and the actions, but in the back of their mind, they don't trust the process that by continuously doing these certain activities or tasks, they'll get to a destination of their desired outcome. And so we say trust the process because at the end of the day, you have to trust the process of whatever experience you are trying to do, right? Because part of the belief of attaining a goal is that you trust you will get the outcome so desired. If you let the doubt creep into your mindset, the doors are going to start closing. You're not going to be having the right energy as you perform tasks and do certain things that you are trying to accomplish, right? So this is sort of like a multi layered type of idea where it's mindset, it's a consistent action, and it's the ability to follow a proven plan. So one of the first pillars I think with us is that you have to be coachable. Okay. So do not hire an expert. Don't hire an expert and pay money to a team of experts that have gone where you want to go and then sit there every time they're telling you a task that you need to complete as part of the activities to say, well, let me ask my neighbor about that. What do they think about it? Let me ask my significant other, what do they think about it? Okay, you can ask those questions to those people, but we always respond is, have they written a book, published it, launched it, and become number one? Don't listen to people who have not been where you want to go. That's a big one, whether you're launching a book or other endeavor. A lot of people, again, this is where that imposter syndrome, or they're letting doubt to their head and they're asking other people for their opinion because they're not sure and they can't decide and take action. You can have a decision and take action, and it might be the wrong one this time. That's okay. You learn from that and you go on to the next, right?
Absolutely.
being decisive, taking action, being coachable, having a message that will impact others. That's one of the other things that we look for is, again, do you want to help other people? And if you do, we want to reverse engineer your larger plans into a residual, you're into a residual income model. And we really want to look at the idea of writing a book for someone, especially business people, entrepreneurs, thought leaders, nonfiction space, things like that, or even fiction, because you can have a series, right? That's where Marvel movies come from, Batman, Spider-Man, right? They this whole marketing machine now on all levels. But what's the bigger ideas and money making products that you can monetize, where the book is the conduit to those things, right? I always say the book is your gateway drug, if you will, right? It's an evergreen marketing tool, right? And when you look at it as a tool, then now you are opening your mind to being like a business owner and an entrepreneur sort of spirit, right? Because you're looking at it for the greater why. So part of our success is also reverse engineering the why and the monetizing of someone's vision and their authentic message, right? What are they trying to say? Who can we put this in front of that will have the greatest impact, right? And that starts to set up your dominoes so that they will later knock each other down one by one by one, right? The other component of it is, do you actually authentically have something to say? And are you passionate about the message and what you are creating? Because some people, again, they just like to create and do things so they can say that they did it. And then they'll say that they did it. You'll make a lot of momentum. You'll have a campaign at a launch. You know, you hit a goal. And then what they do, they just put the brakes on. And they think, unfortunately, you know, I love Kevin Costner and his work, but build it, they will come is a terrible mindset for authors and entrepreneurs.
It sure is. Because what's next? Right. Yeah.
Doesn't mean anyone's looking for it. You have to keep telling people, just because you have a book, you have to be your biggest advocate, you know? So if you don't have that mindset that you want to, you know, keep it alive, then this is not a path, I think, to pursue. Because again, we say no to authors more than we say yes, because we don't think that they have that bigger why yet. You know, it's almost like, I always liken it to having like a baby. You know, the baby takes 9 months to bake, right?
I say that all the time. Businesses or anything you create is like having a baby. You have to raise it. You have to nurture. You have to keep it alive. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And, you know, a book can take anywhere from a low end, you know, 6 to 9 months just to create the part that's the publishing side, which is getting the words out, getting it edited, formatted, getting a cover, and getting it distributed to the world, right? That's only just part of it. That's the easiest part, honestly. You're just paying for services and making it as good as it can be. Where most people lose the baton in the race is, again, they think because it's out, everyone's going to come and get it immediately. So that's sort of like you created this baby and then you left it on the side of the road for the wolves to raise, you know, or now it's going to be a wild shot. So for the trust the process, we, you know, firmly believe that it's not enough to publish the book and get it distributed, but you need to have that marketing campaign, a strategy, and the long term. This is a long game. Let me repeat that. This is a long game, having a book, right?
It is.
You don't get rich overnight. Authors don't get rich from book sales, because all the platforms eat up most of your royalties. So most people don't even realize when they buy from you, the retail price the customer pays, the author maybe makes $1 to $3 of that book. That's their royalty on most things, right? So if you don't have why of doing this, why do you want to try to only get a result of $1 to $3 per transaction? That's a lot of money,
it is. Yeah, for real. Look, you just summarized a lot of my ideas, right? And things that I was going to speak on. But one thing that stood out more than anything outside of the baby analogy was doubt. And I say all the time, man, God in the universe gives blessings all the time. but people miss them because not only because of doubt, but because their frequency isn't aligned with seeing the blessing. They don't see the synchronicities. They don't see the sequences that the God in the universe is speaking to you like, hey, hello, ding, 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 ding. This is your blessing, like, it's so fascinating.
A lot of times blessings also are being disguised in the mix, right? As hard work or obstacles that have to be overcome. And people focus on the obstacle as opposed to the learning outcome, right? What can I learn from this? And when I learn from it, then I'm turning the corner towards having that blessing for myself or the opportunity for a door to be open. But most people get distracted and pulled in with an obstacle like, oh, it's, I don't have a publisher, so I can't do a book. So self-publish your book. Everyone, it's not the same as it was 20 years ago where it was frowned upon. Now you don't let that stop. I don't have an agent. You don't need an agent because they're going to take your little bit of your $3 that you just got from your royalty anyway. If you're going to put in all the hard work to get an agent to represent you, do the rest of it some more for yourself. Develop your own team. Right?
That's true.
So I think a lot of people get stuck in that mindset and the other mindset of, they're not getting they're not having a learning experience from an obstacle, or they let the obstacle derail them and their discipline or motivation because it's not aligning and happening as quick as they think it will. None of our goals work the way our plan says they will. I don't know anyone who has a perfect straight line towards any goal they try to get.
That is so true.
Roadblocks, right? Your phone died and your GPS doesn't work, and you don't know how to go to the gas station and ask for directions anymore because your phone died. Oh my goodness, so when our frequency is aligned to like the mindset, like guerrilla warfare, nothing you can do will stop me. No matter if it's limited resources, limited knowledge, limited whatever. We can find a way around that. We have to just be open to bigger thinking, brainstorming, and strategizing, finding partners that know where you want to go and trusting them, trust the process to get you to the end goal.
Wow. Look, thank you so much, man. Ladies and gentlemen, Melissa Van Oss. Listen, Mel, this has been powerful. And you touched on so many points, man, that I'm in aligned with. My book that I just wrote is in aligned with. And man, it's just so eye-opening to hear someone else speak on those same points, right? About success, about discipline, about consistency, right? These are the powerful tools that get you where you need to be, right? Powerful. And, because look, unbelievable. We're having a great time, but that's our time. But look, before we close out, I want you to have the floor and tell the SMARTS community, tell the final bosses, tell the my motivators and my warriors where they can find you. How can they connect with you? How can aspiring authors learn more about Trust the Process? And what final message do you want to leave with the final bosses, motivators, warriors, and SMARTS who are listening right now?
Okay. Yes. And so thank you for having me on. Of course, time flies when we're talking about things that we like to talk about. And
absolutely.
When we get up. But to learn more about the Trust the Process program, you can visit our website, which is authors with an S, authorstrusttheprocess.com, making it simple to remember. And social media at author Melissa Van Oss. And if you look on LinkedIn, you'll see my face and the same name and spelling that's on your screen right there. So you can connect with me on LinkedIn as well. So two ways to connect. And if you go to the authorstrusttheprocess.com website, we do offer a free guide that really starts to break some of the common myths that many authors have in their head before they either before they start writing a book, or maybe you've already written a book and you didn't get the results or have the experience that you wanted to have with that project. And it kind of is our way to kind of help inspiring or aspiring authors to really just start to get the reality check of like what's the purpose of having the book? What are some, common myths and misconceptions? Because of course, the movies, the TV, the media, Carrie Bradshaw character, for example, everyone's either portrayed as super successful, living their high life and going around the world.
Right. Doesn't work like that.
Or the poorest of the poor, having the most drama and trauma and skeleton things happening in their life, right? So this was our way to kind of combat those extremes of what we're seeing out in the media and portrayed, out there, and just give people some best practices to kind of get off on the right foot. So that's a free guide. Just give us your details and that'll come to you automatically. And hopefully that some great insight there. All right. If I were to leave this podcast today with a final thought is, I would say, if you have a message, you have a skill set. All of us have lived a life of our own experiences that no one else can have. So anyone really has the potential to be an author and create impact and have a message, right? So believe that you are unique. People do want to hear have to say, even if you doubt it initially for yourself. And if you believe those two things, then ultimately create an outline for yourself, right?
Absolutely.
Write down the potential book outline for yourself as an easy step one. And a lot of people don't even get to that step. They just have an idea, they don't take a step. So a micro win that you can have is, do you have information no one else does? Of course you do, because you're the only one like you. Can you speak authentically and with passion, integrity, right, and honesty on this topic? If that's yes, then you potentially could be a best-selling author as well, right? And if you are a coachable person and can follow a proven methodology and essentially copy and paste, we can help you. At the end of the day, we can help you go from idea to bestseller. And we have, a team that we work with, again, that we've guinea pigged ourselves with, so we can recommend them with all assured honesty and integrity that they do what they say they were going to do and not just take money and run like a lot of scams out here that you see, unfortunately. But true. If you want to take the next step, decide those things, and if those are yes, go ahead and just this weekend, write down a general bullet point outline of the things you can talk about under that topic. If you can do those things, then you can easily take an outline and turn it into a manuscript. From there, you have experts that fill in all the gaps of all the logistical parts, right? And that's why you have a team. So if you can do that much, we can go from take that baton from you, essentially, get you with the right team and partners, and get you from idea to outcome very quickly and efficiently. So if you trust the process, you like that idea, then I think you're going to love to connect with us.
Great name and great speech and great narrate, man. Listen, thank you so much, everyone. Melissa Van Oss. To my smarts, make sure you follow her. Go check out Trust the Process, people. Oh, can you leave the link inside the thread if that's possible? Can you leave the link to that inside the thread?
I think I can figure that out.
All right, appreciate you. Thank you for that. And look, if you have a book in you, stop waiting. What are you waiting for? The time is now, people. Look, Final Bosses, let me bring this one home for you guys. What did we learn tonight? Well, we learned a lot. We learned that adversity is an opportunity, right? Adversity is opportunity. If you have the right mindset, as Mel spoke of, she turned COVID chaos into 3 #1 bestsellers, right? Success is systematic. Trust the process works because it's proven methodology. The results are undeniable. They have produced 17 #1 bestsellers and 8 award winners, and soon my entire catalog that I'm currently working on and counting. Right. So your voice matters. Your story has power. Stop doubting yourself. Stop doubting yourself. God and the universe is talking to you. That doubt erases your blessings. Stop doubting yourself. Resilience is non-negotiable, right? It's non-negotiable. It's not negotiable. It's non-negotiable for students, professionals, everyone who's pursuing excellence, and anyone who's trying to get on what people? The fired up train. Now listen, being an author is about building a brand and creating impact and income, not just writing words. The 6 pillars of success are real: motivation, sacrifice, consistency, perseverance, persistence, and resilience. Mel embodies all of these things, and your relationships determine your reach. Build authentic connections. Purpose-driven storytelling creates the transformation, not just information, people. Smarts. If you got value from this episode, if this episode resonated with you, I need you to do these 3 things, of course. You know it. Share, like, share, and subscribe, right? Make sure you're following us. And if you have a book in you, commit to taking action like Mel spoke of this week. This has been the Final Boss Podcast, episode number 154. We will be back Sunday night, right? Sunday night, 9 p.m. with Sitting Down Sundays with moi, of course, talking about more systematic excellence. Special shout out to my Smarts community for watching, and everyone else, man. Drop your biggest takeaway in the comments. What resonated with you most? And remember, we always stay on this show, and you're not a chess piece, people, and someone else's game. You are the chess master of your own destiny. Your story matters. Your voice is needed. Your time is now. And it's go time, baby. It is go time. Let's go. All aboard the fired up train. This is your host, the Final Boss. And as always, let this marinate in your spine. And there's a heavy pain that comes with discipline, but the pain of regret is even heavier. This has been our show, episode number 154. To each and every single one of you, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. No matter where you're watching, be balanced, be equal, and be smart. That is our show, ladies and gentlemen, episode number 154. Y'all have a great evening, and I will see you again on Sunday. Thanks again, Mel. You're a winner. Appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome to the Final Boss Podcast, where microphones and mushroom clouds collide in the most mind-blowing chats. We're talking explosive topics, fiery debates, and the hottest guests. Imagine a creative space background, spacey vibes, and out-of-this-world conversations. It's like chilling with your best buddies, but with way cooler sound effects. Every episode, we take on the universe's biggest questions. You know, the stuff that keeps you up at night. And we do it with a bang. Want to know what happens when you mix gaming, movies, and pop culture? Boom! You get the Final Boss Podcast. So plug in those earbuds and get ready for a wild ride. Whether you're commuting, chilling, or just need a break, we've got your back. Hit that follow button and join us on this cosmic journey. Trust me, you don't want to miss these explosive chats. Catch the Final Boss Podcast now, where every episode is a blast. Stay tuned and stay awesome. Final Boss Podcast, bringing the boom to you.